As the West remains divided over how to further arm Kyiv, Russia seems to be positioning itself as a potential peace broker, though only on its own terms. In talks with Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó in Moscow on Monday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov made it clear that Russia is open to peace initiatives, but only from countries that show a genuine desire for peace.
We absolutely agree that those who are in favor of peace are taking the right position, while those who believe that one should fight until someone is strategically defeated on the battlefield are not even reflecting the interests of their nations.
Lavrov emphasized the efforts of countries like Hungary, Brazil, China, South Africa, and several Arab nations, noting that their peace initiatives are driven by a sincere desire to end the conflict.
There are now many initiatives that have been launched by different countries on different continents, which we see are driven by a genuine desire for peace. The recent peace route of Prime Minister Orban is one example of such initiatives, as are a number of others, including Sino-Brazilian, South African, and Arab, by the way, too. We are ready to consider them all.
Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó echoed Lavrov's sentiments, stressing the devastating impact of the war on neighboring countries like Hungary.
In these thousands of days, we have seen that this war has no solution on the battlefield. The solution can only be at the negotiating table, and for these negotiations to take place, diplomatic channels must be opened. At this time, many irresponsible decisions have been also taken, which have had a negative impact on a number of neighboring countries, including Hungary.
These remarks come amid rising frustration among countries in the global south. Earlier this year, nations like Brazil, China, and South Africa formed the Friends of Peace group at the UN, calling for a ceasefire and a lasting resolution. Despite these efforts, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been critical of peace plans that don't align with Kyiv's priorities, accusing them of favoring Moscow. In a shift from his previous position, Zelensky proposed ending the hot phase of the war by securing NATO guarantees for the territories under Ukrainian control.
But if we want to stop the hot stage of the war, we should take under NATO umbrella the territory of Ukraine that we have under our control. That's what we need to do fast. And then Ukraine can get back the other part of its territory diplomatically.
The Ukrainian leader laid out his legal arguments for joining the transatlantic military alliance, arguing his country could not legally recognize occupied Ukrainian territories as Russian because it would be contrary to the constitution.
You can't give invitation to just one part of a country. Why? Because thus you would recognize that Ukraine is only that territory of Ukraine and the other one is Russia. So legally, by law, we have no right to recognize the occupied territory as territory of Russia. And here we must not make any mistake.
This marks a departure from Zelensky's earlier stance, where he insisted that any peace talks should be tied to the return of all occupied territories. He also emphasized the need to ensure that Russian President Vladimir Putin could not launch further offensives.
A lot of different countries proposed a ceasefire. So the question is, ceasefire where? That is a question. The second point is, if we speak ceasefire, guarantees that Putin will not come back. And in this case, I commented you about NATO. Yes, NATO immediately the part of Ukraine.
Meanwhile, Moscow remains firm in its conditions for peace, demanding international recognition of Crimea and other annexed territories, along with guarantees that Ukraine will remain neutral and non-nuclear. Lavrov reiterated these demands, signaling little room for compromise as the conflict continues.